Hey guys, just wanted to do a quick video. I'm here with the dogs. It's a rainy Sunday afternoon here in Alabama. I've got 10 tips for you on sourcing books for FBA. Just going to jump straight in. These are things that I picked up along the way and think that might be able to help you out a little bit when you're sourcing. So number one is go straight for the gold. I go to textbooks, then nonfiction, then religious, then vintage children's, and then fiction last. And I don't spend a lot of time in fiction because it's mostly about 500 copies of Eat, Pray, Love, and a bunch of other worthless shit. So I'll peek over there, you know, but I don't spend a lot of time there. The reason I go straight for the gold is because you don't want to waste your time in a thrift store, because there's a lot of other sections you might want to pick through, electronics and records and things of that nature. So it's just really important to keep focused and don't get lost in a sea of books. You don't have to scan every book. That is a myth. You're going to waste your time if you go in there and start from one side of the shelf to the other. You know, you'll eventually get an eye for what kind of things sell and, you know, what's what. And once you sell so many books, you start recognizing the ones that do well, and you'll just be able to grab that, grab that, grab that. I know the margins on that. So going on to tip number 2, you can use the Flow from Amazon's Seller app to scan a book without a barcode. So you don't have to have a barcode. A lot of people think that you can't scan the book, but you just hold it over the front cover and it'll show you, it'll pull that book up on Amazon if there's a listing for it. And that also works with like audiobooks, records, vinyl records, because none of those hardly have a barcode. And it'll work with products as well, just anything that's in its original packaging. So number 3 is to tell employees what you're looking for. If they know that you want books, you know, they're going to be more apt to bring them out. A lot of times I've just said, hey, do you guys have any books that you haven't put out yet? Is there possibly some in the back that I could look through? And if this is the case for like smaller stores, we'll usually be like, yeah, come on back, you know. You're probably not going to have good luck with this if you tried at Goodwill. But just letting employees know what you're looking for can sometimes open up the door for new opportunities. Number 4 is to check Craigslist and Facebook for textbooks. I've been doing pretty well flipping textbooks from college students. I live next to a university, so I will usually make a student a bundle deal on all of their books, and then offer to pick them up with cash the next day. Very rarely do I get turned down on the offers that I give, and I never pay their asking price. And I've done, you know, I bought a book for $30 last week. It sold for $110. So just little things like that. Definitely try to get a bundle deal. And also, if you can arrange a meeting, and if you have 2 or 3 meet you at the same time, it's a lot more efficient. So I'll usually say like, okay, 9:30 on Friday, and I'll tell everyone that I'm buying a book from to meet me at 9:30 on Friday. And typically they'll all show up within 10 minutes of each other. And, you know, just bring cash and envelopes for which books you're buying from which person. And that's a good way to source if you don't have a lot of thrift stores in your area. So number 5 is figure out your price floor and keep that in mind when you shop. So for me, the lowest I want to sell an item for on Amazon is going to be $7.99. And I've heard some people will go as low as, you know, like $5.50 or so. But for me, selling an item at $7.99 means I'm probably only going to clear like $3 off of it. So what I have to keep in mind for that is that's going to be a book that I'm going to pay 25 to 50 cents for maximum. Otherwise, it's not going to be worth my time. Going on to tip number 6, you can sell books with writing inside, highlighting, you know, notes. You just put it in the context of your description, and I've seen a lot of pages say, oh, you can't sell a book in that condition, but I mean, most of the books I sell have some kind of writing or something. Tip number 7 is just know that seeing other scanners does not mean that this source is tapped out. So if anything, if you run into someone scanning, it means you found a good source. It means that they're coming here, they're probably replenishing the stock pretty regularly because this person is here checking. So don't let that intimidate you, and, you know, you don't have to be like a rivalry about it. You know, you're both in the game, you're both, you know, respect one another, and, you know, it's kind of awkward at first, but I just kind of like, you know, just smile and nod. You know, it is what it is. Don't make a big deal about it. Number 8, look for audiobooks. This is something that people kind of leave out, and there are actually some profits to be made with audiobooks. So what I do is I stick to sealed copies, because it's just too much of a risk for me personally to want to sell CDs that have been opened and scratched, or maybe, maybe one of the side 3 is messed up and you don't have time to look over all that when you're scanning. So yeah, I do sell quite a few new audiobooks, so keep that in mind. And vinyl as well. Vinyl records do pretty well. Number 9, your time is valuable. Don't obsess or overanalyze about a purchase. You should have a process that you go through mentally, and it should be very quick for deciding whether or not to buy an item. So for me, my process is, what's the sales rank? How much does it cost? How much can I sell it for? That's it. That's very simple. Don't sit there and cause yourself to have an analysis paralysis type situation, because you're just going to waste your time. I mean, at most, what are you going to lose if you mess this up? 50 cents or $1? No, move on. It's not worth, fretting over. So, tip number 10, final tip, is to start a source list. So eventually you're going to get to the point where you're checking 10 or 20 or 30 places, and you want to know what those places are good for, when they replenish their stock. You want to have, sort of a relationship with the employees if that's possible. You need to know their hours. You need to know especially when they have sales. So, I mean, that can get overwhelming when you have a lot of sources. So those are my 10 tips for sourcing books. I may be able to come up with a few more if I put my brain to it. The point of these videos, though, is I'm trying to give you content that has either, not been said in this way or hasn't been said at all by other YouTubers. There's a lot of ways to source books, but it is my primary source of income, so I feel like I'm pretty good at it at this point. I've sold hundreds of books, and I have, around 700, 800 in stock right now, and they're all around my room. They're sitting here in a pile. There's the dogs and the pile of books. So, and then there's some on that side. So, this is what I do. So hopefully this video helped you guys out. If you like it, comment or subscribe, or tell me some things that you want to know or that you have questions about, or if you have an idea for another video, I'd be happy to hear that. Take care.